Well, I'm in the scary woods today, not to be confused with the regular woods. But I'm here today because Slender, the 8 pages, turns 10. Yep, we're really that old. I'm pretty sure you all remember the height of the creepypasta sensation. Crap like Jeff the Killer and the well-known bend-round ARG was all the rage. Sonic.exe actually frightened people because it's totally real. I remember the Squidward suicide story actually kept me up at nights. Hell, I was even terrified of Jeff the Killer. I remember being worried that I'd see the face peering at me through my bedroom window at night. I'd even convinced myself that Jeff the Killer was actually real, which is just unbearably embarrassing. But the creepypasta I have the fondest memories of is the entire mythos surrounding the Slender Man. Originally created by Eric Knudsen, going under the pseudonym Victor Surge as a part of a Create Paranormal Images thread on the Something Awful forums in 2009. Not too long after these images were posted, the character went viral across the internet. Creepypastas galore. Anyone could write their own Slenderman story because there was no actual set canon or lore for the character. Marble Hornets is likely the definitive story involving the character, but I've never really cared for it. It's impressive from a filmmaking perspective. They were able to achieve quite an awful lot without much money. But the story and pseudo-implementation of the Slenderman as a character called the Operator doesn't quite work for me. Then in 2018, Sony made a crappy Slenderman horror movie that honestly felt like it was in poor taste, because it was releasing a few years after the Slenderman stabbing incident in 2014. The time to tastefully make a theatrical Slender film had definitely passed by that point. Slender, the 8 pages, is what I personally associate the character with the most. Developed by the indie studio Parsec Productions and released on the 26th of June 2012 to PC. When the game first came out, it was simply called Slender, before having the 8 pages subtitle added to it after the release of Slender, The Arrival. The gameplay is brutally simple. The only goal of the game is to collect all 8 pages whilst evading the ever-growing presence of the Slender Man. And well, that's it. When compared to the indie games that came out in the years to follow, it looks quite antiquated. I suppose you can't really complain about the simplicity because it was free to download and it still is 10 years later. Age hasn't been too kind to Slender the 8 pages though. Graphically, it's not very impressive. I suppose for the time it's acceptable, and it's got a slight liminal spaces vibe to it which I quite like. Graphics don't do Slender any favours though either, as his head literally looks like an egg. It's things like that which makes you question, how was this considered to be one of the scariest games of all time? It does have a great ambience. The pulsating drumbeat that gradually ramps up each time you collect a page creates a brilliant foreboding atmosphere that manages to envelop you. You start to forget that Slenderman's character model looks ridiculous, because you know if he gets too close it's game over. You can't really complain too much about the quality of Slender the 8 pages, because it's free and it has been since it came out. The only thing that you can waste on it is your time. It's hard to put into words how much of an impact the 8 pages had on YouTube, the indie games scene, and the internet in general. The Let's Play community on YouTube was forever changed. People like PewDiePie and Markiplier were thrust into stardom. Screaming through a webcam at a free-to-download jumpscare simulator defined an entire generation. Go, 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 go! A slew of Slender clones ensued after the 8 pages success. The collect a select number of pages gameplay type was very oversaturated, as it had proven time and time again that it was a reliable way to make your game popular with Let's Players. Even me and a friend recorded ourselves playing it. I remember it took us so long to find the first page that Slender eventually just decided to start chasing us anyway, despite having no pages. Creepypastas became a huge staple in pop culture. Some stories were great, but most were terrible. A lot of the stories based on video games reverted to the hyper-realistic blood trope. It got so bad that a lot of stories had to be removed from the creepypasta website because they were just too crap. Even I jumped on the creepypasta bandwagon, writing one based around Minecraft called The Watcher. Let's give it a read. There's a very popular game called Minecraft, and everyone was telling me I should buy it, so I did. When I started it up, the game was behaving odd. It was glitching up. Then I heard a faint voice saying, "I'm watching you." I was startled, but I carried on playing, because I thought it was all in my head. Yeah, I don't think I finished that. Wait, why is it night now? Hey, look, a page! Yeah, I know that. What are you, some kind of idiot?
Slenderman, Slenderman, all the children try to run. Slenderman, Slenderman, to him it's part of the fun. Slenderman.